Live from New York. It's the show that has to play 65 shows in order to qualify for any awards.
Wow.
And I'm not going to make it.
No, you've got a lot of vacation time.
I think it's unfair.
Yeah.
I
love it.
We start with the first things first bowl. Again, Brew has not picked.
Well, then why is it like that?
I don't know.
Why? I mean, I'm grinding. Every day I'm looking at the All 22. I'm studying. I'm going over plays and everything.
Yeah.
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Okay. Your reaction to your old buddy Alex Smith?
I think it's spot-on analysis by what was up until 5 years ago, the greatest Chiefs quarterback of my lifetime, with respect to Trent Green, the great Alex Smith. This is why I think San Francisco's in such a rough spot. Because if Kansas City can block San Francisco's front, and I think they will be able to even without Tooney, and Tooney might play but might not, but Allegretti did a great job against Baltimore. I think Kansas City, even with the wide receivers that were, a big topic of conversation all year, can carve up the San Francisco back end. I think the only way San Francisco can win is in a shootout, and the problem is, well, a couple things. One is Kansas City doesn't get in shootouts. But first, let's show you San Francisco this year. They don't win low-scoring games. They are unbeatable if they get to 24. If they're under 24, so they haven't won any game like what Kansas City did against Baltimore. A low-scoring defensive struggle on both sides of the ball. But here's the other piece of it. Kansas City doesn't let you score. So I've told you before, they've allowed 30-plus once in the last 36 games. But this is the team, most games in a season, allowing under 25 points. So Kansas City is tied for the most ever. I understand the season's now a game longer, so take that for what you will. But 19 of their 20 games this year, they have allowed under 25 points. The only team that didn't win the Super Bowl was actually Andy Reid's 0-1 Eagles. If you then expand that, and this is via Scott Casimir, and shout out to him, to games allowing under 28, the Chiefs are at 100%. Every game this year, they've allowed under 28. Every other team that did something like that won the Super Bowl. And so I don't think a shootout is likely, and I do think a shootout is San Francisco's only path. So, yeah, I agree with them, but I think that's bad news for the Niners.
Look, it's like that's why they say defense wins championships. Yeah, when your defense is great. That's you, right.
Well,
you came
the
up with
Banners
that,
said that once, if you remember.
Catch it on.
And what I've been disappointed in these last few weeks is San Francisco's defense.
True.
All right, I get it. Brock has started off to some, slow starts, but he's obviously come through. The defense, the way they've been run on, and they were a good run defense during the season. But these last two playoff games, they gave up 180-some-odd yards. Last week to Detroit rushing, 130-something to Green Bay before that. I'm not so much worried about their back end. I'm worried about their stopping the run. If Isaiah Pacheco is able to get 7 yards here, 6 yards there, 8 yards there, then they're going to be in trouble. And so I think they have to stop the run. Now, I think they'll be somewhere in the middle. I don't think they'll get gashed like they did against Detroit running the ball, and I don't think they'll totally shut them down. I think also, Nick, unlike Baltimore, I think they are going to say, look, and this is what I would do, Kelsey's not beating us. Like, if Rashee Rice or MBS or somebody beats us, fine. We are stopping him. He is not going to have a
Nobody
heyday.
can do that.
Saying that for years.
But every team has it. I mean, regular season, we saw some games where they doubled him and didn't get him going.
No one can do that.
Well, most of those playoffs, they had a Tyreek Hill to worry about.
No, but the last 6 games they haven't, and he's killed everybody.
This year, this is what I would do. I mean, Kelsey's great. He's probably the greatest tight end ever. But that's got to be a focus.
It's not going to happen.
And if Rashee or one of these other guys beats me, I can live with that. But that's what they have to do. Shootout, look, they're going to have to be able to score. Can they run on Kansas City? They're going to have to have the run game. And then I do think they're skilled players on the outside. I know Kansas City's defensive backs are great, but I think they got great receivers as well, and Kittle obviously. So I think they can have some success against them. I'm seeing the Chiefs in the mid-20s. And I think the question is, can San Francisco – no, I'm not picking. Can San Francisco get
to
27 or 28?
Which would be the most points any team has scored on Kansas City all year.
The Kelsey thing is a non-starter. I've tried to come up with several solutions to stopping Travis Kelce, whether it's double team him. I also broke out this. Remember when you're passing Kelce the ball?
Yeah.
Put your hand out, let the ball hit your hand instead of Kelce's. None of it works. And smarter minds than me, it's like he's not running conventional routes. You're supposed to be guarding what's on the tape, and he's doing something else, and him and Mahomes have a mind melt. So that's unstoppable. The question for you is...
Can I expand on that just real quick? As good as Fred Warner is, no team is built to better stop Kelce than Baltimore. Because they have two excellent inside backers like San Francisco does, but they also have Kyle Hamilton, and San Francisco obviously lost Hufanga, and Kelce was targeted 11 times, had 11 catches.
And Mahomes was yelling,
yes,
they can't guard you.
Yes.
He can't guard you. I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, but go ahead.
The question for you is, do you think Mahomes is going to have a similar game plan, if he gets out to an early lead, put it in cruise control, or do you think he's going to be like, it's shootout time?
So this is what is so fascinating, is while Mahomes in his non-Super Bowls has never started poorly in the playoffs. In his non-Super Bowls, he has always started hot, and I think the Chiefs have scored on their opening drive in 9 consecutive playoff games, 8 or 9 consecutive playoff games. And that includes last year's Super Bowl, but then they slowed down a bit after that. But every Super Bowl, they have trailed at halftime. Every Super Bowl, they have, they have started slow. The Niners won, they were down 10 points with 6.5 minutes left. The Eagles won, they were down 10 points at halftime. And obviously the Bucs won, they were trailing start to finish in that game. So I find the very fascinating can Kansas City flip the script to a degree where the game is played on their terms the way the Baltimore game was. I don't know, but what I do think is that the one thing Patrick Mahomes has never done in his career is have a start-to-finish brilliant Super Bowl. So I thought the Eagles game, he was damn near flawless, but he only threw for like 180 yards, if you remember, because they had so few time of possession early in the game. They scored defensively.
Which is
obviously the Niners Super Bowl. He was amazing in the second half, or in the fourth quarter, really was all. And Tampa Super Bowl struggled the whole time. So I don't think he's going to want to put it in cruise control ever. But I also think that if they get a 2-score lead, they are, and I'm not saying I'm predicting that, they are going to make San Francisco prove they can make it a 1-score game before they start to be very aggressive like they did against Baltimore.
But again, they can just chip their way down the field. That's what they did against Baltimore.
Yep.
It was, just moving down the field.
2 years in, and Brock already headed.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
We know.
It's a little weird.
Whole thing
is just.
Do you think it was for the cameras?
I think,
or you think they caught?
I think they were aware.
It was sincere.
I mean,
who is that? Is that the PR, the team PR?
I don't know. It said Netflix, so I'm not sure. But go ahead, Wild. What's the question?
The question was, what's Brock's ceiling?
Well, first of all, like I said, I love this because to me now. Are they acting? I don't think they were acting, but let's assume they were sincere.
If they were acting, Purdy's the caliber actor you are, which is
I get that SAG. I think it's a SAG. Yeah. That check every year.
How much?
To me, this says
one of those
Bosa.
Like 70, 75 cents?
No, it says some dollars.
Okay, go ahead.
To me, this hundreds actually. This says Bosa.
No, it is not.
It is.
No,
let him go on.
$250-something.
$250?
Yeah, wait, I was good.
Okay.
All right.
It doesn't have a bearing on your performance.
Bosa. Hashtag reality high. Shout out Brandon Broussard.
Yeah.
To me, this shows that Bosa really believes in Brock.
Yeah.
Like he's really impressed with what Brock Purdy does. This wasn't at a press conference saying the right thing for the media. Yeah, I'm going to back my teammate, of course. This was these two guys. He didn't have to go up to him and say that. All right, so I like that. Secondly, I love Purdy's response. Because Purdy was like, when he's like, are you surprised you're this good? He ain't surprised. Purdy is not surprising him. He was like, yo, it's part of the game. When I put on my shoulder pads, I believe I'm going to get it done. That's what I took. I believed I was this good at Perry High School in suburban Phoenix. All right, that's what I got from there. Now, what's his ceiling?
Yeah.
You're going to like this, Nick. Hall of Fame.
Okay.
That is the ceiling. Will he reach it? We'll see. But that is the ceiling. If they win this Super Bowl, and even next year, they don't have to pay him next year. So even if they don't win it, but next year he comes back, has a similar year, maybe not even quite as good as this, but plays well, similar year. They're in the mix again. Maybe he wins the Super Bowl at some point in his career. Then how in the world is he not? We see he can put up numbers. Now, Mahomes obviously is a Hall of Famer. Jackson, because of the Lamar, because of the 2 MVPs. Josh, probably.
No.
Burrow.
No,
Josh Allen probably. I'm saying what I'm saying is Purdy is not in the class of a Josh Allen, a Joe Burrow if he's healthy, where we're saying they're going to be Hall of Famers. Yeah, they're going to be Hall of Famers. What I'm saying is this guy's ceiling, because of the way he wins, because of his numbers. Why not? And look at this. This is Brock Purdy's numbers versus a Hall of Famer, Drew Brees. First 2 years. Did Brees look like a Hall of Famer?
He did not.
Purdy's whipping him in everything. There are other Hall of Famers we could throw that up against.
So
he's off to a great start. He's in a good system. You know, we'll see when he gets paid, like you said, what they have around him. But yeah, that's his ceiling.
And you think he can? His ceiling from a player comp perspective is Brees, right? Because you said that, but then you got mad when I said it.
No, I tell you, he reminds me. I see a lot of Drew Brees in him. But so I'm not going to say he can be a Hall of Famer and be not quite as good as Drew Brees.
Sure, yeah.
But I think his ceiling, I will not be like if 15 years from now we know he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Even 10 years from now, I'm not going to be surprised, and y'all going to be eating crow.
That's fine. I will be surprised if Brock Purdy's in the Hall of Fame.
You don't even think that's his ceiling?
No, I don't think it's his ceiling. I have a great answer though. A great answer. This is real analysis, no pom-pom waving, and not trying to hold any priors against him. I think Brock Purdy's ceiling is Mark Brunell. So Mark Brunell was also a late-round pick. Mark Brunell was also a bit undersized. Mark Brunell also had early postseason success. Didn't get to a Super Bowl, got to an AFC title game. Mark Brunell also did it on a team with a Hall of Fame left tackle in Baselli, great receivers in McCardle and Jimmy Smith, great running back in Fred Taylor, and was really good. He made 3 Pro Bowls, led the league in passing yards once. Never was a guy you're like, is he the best quarterback in football? No, but had a nice 6-year run where he was good every year. I think that's, by the way, I guarantee you the Niners would sign up in a heartbeat for that from Brock Purdy. For a Mark Brunell, numbers adjusted to this era, if you will, but where you have 5 or 6 years where he is consistently one of the 6 or 7 or 8 best quarterbacks in football, they would love that. And that is, so to me, that's his ceiling. I don't think Hall of Fame or Drew Brees is on the list of viable options, but I think again, a compliment, I feel. Mark Brunell had a hell of a career, multi-time Pro Bowler, and did it at, best utilizing the excellent weapons around him, was able to make some plays with his legs as well as Brock showed us.
Never in the MVP conversation, though.
No, but I also don't, I guess, Brew.
Because I think you would have to admit Purdy, whether you agree, you obviously don't agree with him being in the conversation, but wouldn't you admit, and there's a clip online we talked about, when Purdy first became the starter, when Garoppolo got hurt. Wouldn't you admit, though, he has far surpassed your expectations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yours too.
Yeah, I had no idea what I mean.
He's literally surpassed everyone's expectations.
But I'm just saying he could continue to, because I think he's going to get better too.
So just real quick on I think he might get better as a player, and this will be statistically the best year he ever had. I think that is likely. I think because right now I feel the statistics are inflated by the talent around him, and I don't know that he's always going to have it. I also, though, think the MVP conversation part, we have to acknowledge that prior to this year, or last year, I don't know if it was last year, this year's the first time, there really wasn't a definitive MVP conversation at the end of the year because you only voted for one person. So would peak Mark Brunell have finished 5th? Would he have gotten some 5th place votes? I'd have to go back and look at some of the years. I think maybe one of the years. So I think that's a little different.
Don't you think that Mahomes, he's not favored, but part of Mahomes' greatness and our confidence in Mahomes in this Super Bowl is because he's been here before and he has all this playoff experience. So when we talk about young quarterbacks, the fact that Brock is in the Super Bowl, just had his second conference championship game, that he has a head start of development over Trevor, who played half a good playoff game, or any other these any. CJ played great, but we talk about, wow, CJ.
So that's not the examples I would use, because I think CJ and Trevor both have a great playoff game under their belt, by the way, which is the same amount that Brock Purdy has. So so Brock has had one great playoff game. He's had two nice comebacks.
The first one against Seattle.
Yes.
I would include that game last week as a great game.
Okay.
Even though he struggled early. Okay, I get it. He struggled early,
that's fine. But I
count the comeback.
I mean, that's sometimes.
Mahomes won MVP in a similar way, right? Didn't play well the first half against San Francisco, came back late and was MVP. Like, that was a
fair
great
enough. I would take some issue with that, but that's not the point.
And Trevor wasn't great in that first half either. No, when they were down 27-0. So has he had a full game?
Okay, fair enough. The point I'm trying to make is the playoff experience, sometimes it matters a lot, and sometimes, with respect, love the guy as a colleague, it's Mark Sanchez. Sometimes your first year and second year, you win road playoff games. You get to back-to-back AFC title games.
He wasn't like Purdy, though.
No, I understand that, I get that. I'm simply saying I don't know how much this is going to pay dividends in the future if they get rolled in 10 days.
All right, Super Bowl MVP odds. Mahomes is in the lead, even though the 49ers are favored. Then the game manager, followed by McCaffrey, Kelsey, and Debo. The question is, and Brew, you can go here, who is the best non-quarterback bet to win the MVP?
I'm going to say McCaffrey. Kelsey, the thing with Kelsey is every pass he catches is going to be thrown by Mahomes. Unless he has some huge, run after catch type thing that's spectacular, he's unlikely to get it over Mahomes.
Can I put a pin in that, though? Yeah. Cooper Kupp won for the Rams and Edelman won, too. So it's not like they're the last two wide receivers to win.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think Mahomes would, because Kelsey, again, most of the passes have been short, things like that. Second would be Kittle, because Kittle could have a big run after the catch. So I'm going with McCaffrey first and then Kittle.
So, I think that there's some context here, right? So the last running back to win Super Bowl MVP, if you haven't looked it up, it'll shock you. Terrell Davis.
Yeah.
This has been 25 years. Since the last running back won it, 5 receivers have won it, and 4 defensive players have won it. Everyone else is a quarterback that has won it. Oddly, the only positions to never win MVP, offensive line and kicker, punter, obviously, and tight end. Tight ends never won it. The running back, to me, the smart bet would be Isaiah Pacheco. If you think the Chiefs are going to win, they pound the run, all of that. That's not the bet I would make, though. I would, if you are trying to find a non-quarterback MVP, I don't think it's the name on the screen. I think Chris Jones is a fascinating one.
Love it.
So Chris Jones, it's, by the way, 140 to 1. So $100 would pay out $14,000 if he were to win it. But is there a scenario for Chris Jones that he has a strip sack, that he has a tip pass that turns into an interception? You've talked, Brew, a lot about the Niners' interior part of their offensive line being weak, that Chris Jones could dominate from there. If Mahomes does win it, though, Wilds, it's not only that he ties Montana as the only people with 3. Brady obviously has 5. He would be the first player ever to win 3 in a row as far as his team winning the Super Bowl. Because Montana, it went Montana, Rice, then he won another one. Brady won 2, and then it was Branch, won another 2, and then it was Edelman. So nobody's ever done 3 Super Bowl MVPs for their own team in a row. So Mahomes would be trying to do that.
I like Chris Jones a lot.
140 to 1.
Jones
the Niners, it'd be harder because there's correct, and there's too many other Niners that could potentially make those splash plays. For the Chiefs, especially with Minahoo out, you would expect to be Chris Jones if he's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.